All right, okay. So, starting from this week, all the materials will be a little more interesting than we have learned before. You are actually going to see real cases, the case that can relate to yourself to the legal theory, okay? Not just like a lot of constitutional stuff. And this week and next week, we're going to go into torts. And this week, we're going to cover intentional torts. That's torts with intent. And next week, we're going to go into not intentional, unintentional torts. That'll be including negligence, strict liability, product liability. Okay? Any questions before we move into torts? Okay, torts. Intentional torts usually start with a intent. And there will be an act that carries out that intent. And that act with intent, the intentional act, causes some sort of damage or some sort of consequence. Okay? Now, so act in this sense under torts, it is a volitional movement. By defendant. But before tonight's class, have any of you heard the word torts? Or do you even know what tort is? It's a French word. Well, I heard of torts, and I like tort.
What's that from?
Oh, defendant. But when I usually use pi for plaintiff, use delta for defendant. Right? So intent, in this case, we have two different types of intent. We have specific intent or general intent. Okay? The difference between specific intent and general intent, okay, it is that this is goal is to carry out. Specific intent is there's a goal to bring out that very specific result. General intent refers to there's a substantial certainty that this result will happen. Okay. All right. What's your name?
Me?
Yeah.
Keith.
Sorry?
Mr. Lee.
Mr. Lee will be good. Yes. Thank you. Mr. Lee will be good. Let's say here. So let's say Mr. Lee and Barry got into a fight. Okay? It was 1 o'clock in the bar. Okay? So Barry really pissed off by Mr. Lee. Okay? Barry cannot control himself and go ahead and throw a punch at Mr. Lee. Okay? So what is the result that you want? Okay? What is your intent here?
Harm.
Your intent is to hit him. A very specific intent that you're going to hit him. Okay? So that's a specific intent. Your goal is to basically land your fist in his face. Okay? Now, what about the general intent in this case? Okay, a general intent in this case will be you again very pissed off, okay? But what you did is you didn't aim at any person. What you did is you grab a chair from within the bar and throw into a crowded people, okay? You throw the chair into the crowd and somebody got hurt. Now, do you have a very specific intent for that person to be hurt? You probably don't. But there's a substantial certainty that some injury will occur. And there will be a general intent. Okay? So there's a difference between specific intent and general intent. Any questions? Okay. No worries, take your time. All right. Now, there's also a concept called transfer of the intent. Let's go back to the same example that we have, Barry and Mr. Lee. Okay? So Barry rushed up, okay? He's angry. He got up. He ran towards to Mr. Lee and tried to land Barry's fist in Mr. Lee's face. But because you got up so fast, because you ran so fast, okay? When you start to throw your punch, you slipped. Okay? As a result of a very slippery floor, and you lost control of yourself. The fist didn't land in Mr. Lee's face. Okay? It landed in Melinda's face. She's right next to Mr. Lee. Okay? Now Melinda's so pissed off, and she's going to sue you for battery. Okay? Battery is a type of intentional tort. Now, can your defense to be, no, you cannot sue me for battery, because I never had the intent to hit you, Melinda. I never had the intent to hit you. I only intended to hit Mr. Lee. Well, is that a valid defense? Why?
Because the intent is transferred to the other person?
Right, in this case, the intent to hit Mr. Lee now got transferred to Melina, okay? So that's why you can transfer the intent. You can transfer from one person to another, or you can transfer from one type of tort to another type of tort, okay? Any questions? Now, let's get into the first type of torts I want to show you. Okay. Have you ever heard about assault and battery? It usually comes in hand, but there are two different types of torts. Assault is assault, battery is battery. So let's start with battery. So the elements for batteries are now, so these are the elements for torts, battery, okay? And when you write your homework, and when you write your exam questions, I want you to answer in this way. 1. So in your exam questions and in your homework, I want you to write this way, okay? Remember I showed you to write in IRAC. You're gonna have an I-R-A-C. What is your issue here? You're gonna go into, break it down into 3. You're gonna do an IRAC for 1, you're gonna do an IRAC for 2, you're gonna do an IRAC for 3. Okay? So the issue here is whether there was a harmful or offensive contact of plaintiff's person. What is the rule? The rule requires this element to be part of battery analysis. Then you're going to go into whether there's a harmful or offensive, or whether it's on plaintiff's person. And then you reach the conclusion, yes, the first element has met. And then you're going to do the same thing for the intent. Whether there's an intent for this harmful or offensive contact of plaintiff's person. Rule, well, that's the second element. Analysis, you're going to talk about whether there was intent, why there was or why there wasn't. And then conclusion, yes, the second element has been met. Then you're going to prove causation. Did it cause? Did the intent, did the act cause the injury, the damage? Okay, so we're going to do IRAC 3 times before we can reach a big conclusion of whether there was a battery. Okay, so this is how I want you to write your homework, and this is how I want you to write in your exams. Well, at least that's how I expect you to write in your exams. Okay. Now, let's start with the first. Harmful or offensive contact of the plaintiff's person. Okay. So to me, I see 3 things. Harmful, offensive, and contact of plaintiff's person. Okay. So, I'm gonna walk up to Barry. And what I did is this, I'm poking him very lightly. Was it better?
Person finds offensive.
Okay, well, no, because
It's not harmful,
we know it's not harmful, right? Unless he has a,
unless he is really sensitive.
he's really sensitive, he just had a dislocated shoulder fixed, or he has a surgery, or he has a big cut rather than
I was gonna say a big cut.
a big cut, right? Okay. Could be harmful, okay? All right, but what about offensive? Could it be offensive?
When there's a cultural, boundary where you're not really allowed to touch someone, that can be considered offensive.
Okay, so there's a cultural difference that you don't like to be touched by someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Now, was there contact of your person? Assuming you're the plaintiff, I'm the defendant. Well, there's definitely touching, right? There's poking, definitely I've touched. Well, did I touch him or did I touch his jacket?
You made contact.
I made contact.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was only to his jacket.
You made contact.
I made contact.
Yeah.
Okay. Really, sure?
No, you made contact.
Okay, no, fine. Now, what about the intent? Now, is your perception matter in this case? Or is my intent matters? Okay? Now, that's the thing. When you say offensive, if your culture says, well, I don't want to be touched by anybody, but was my touching offensive in my opinion? Was my touching of your shoulder offensive? Do I have that offensive intent to touch you?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily. What was my intent?
To get your attention, for instance.
Well, for this class, I'm trying to show what's a contact,
It depends on the context.
but it depends on my intent. Okay? This is all relevant to the plaintiff's intent. Okay? So I can give you a really big hug and break your ribs, and I'm still okay. Because I don't think that's a harmful or offensive with that intent. Okay, I'm not intend to hurt you, I'm not intend to offend you.
So the court will say that's not battery.
That's not bad. Okay? The intent has to be related. I want to cause you some harm. I want to offend you. Okay? Now, harmful, offensive. Now, what I did here is, let me change the facts. Okay? What I did here is that when I walked up here, I didn't touch Barry. What I did is, I pushed his table. Was it better? Now I'm trying to humiliate him in front of the class. That was my intent. Okay, that was my intent. My intent was to humiliate Barry in front of the class. Yeah, his face got red. So obviously I did it. Okay. Now, was it better? Can he sue me for battery?
Sure.
Should I?
Yeah.
So what's the problem here? The issue is very simple, okay? Do I have the intent? Yes, I do. I
Yeah.
just told you I have the intent. Now the question, the issue is, the second issue will become, well, was that offensive? Yes, right?
Yeah.
But what's the problem here? In contact of plaintiff's person, did I contact him?
Yes.
You were just,
All
right,
I'm just
okay.
giving you
Oh,
my.
wait, okay, that's fine. When I say yes, what do you mean?
If you hit somebody's car and the person's in the car and you use the car
Okay,
to make harm,
okay.
even though you didn't touch that person, it's.
Okay, you use a
it's-
car as example.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
okay.
still battery, right?
All right, okay, let's hold on to your hypo. I'm gonna get to your hypo. But in this case, then you shut up for a minute. For the rest of the class, all right, for the rest of the class, do you think Barry can sue me for battery? Yes,
I don't think so because you don't have a body contact.
I didn't contact his body, right? I didn't contact his body.
It was just the desk. The desk belongs to the school. It doesn't
Okay,
belong to him.
okay, I only touched the desk. Anybody has any idea or wanted to differentiate a different result? Do you think Barry can sue me for battery? You guys are okay, right? I'm only touching the desk. No battery, right? Okay, what if I shook the desk really hard and then Barry fell from the chair? Would it be battery? Yes? And you can change your mind like that, right? These are the elements I just tell you.
Still didn't touch him.
Right? So if I slightly push the desk, you says no battery. But if I push the desk really hard and Barry fell from the desk, from the chair, now you say there's battery. But there must be a legal foundation to your conclusion. There must be a valid legal analysis. Okay?
You still didn't make contact with him, so it still wouldn't fall under contact plaintiff's person.
Okay, so when you say contact, you mean the desk, or touching the desk, I did not touch you.
Yeah.
No contact. But what if I only touch your jacket? I didn't touch your body.
But the jacket was right next to the body, and it was part of the body.
And is your desk connected to your body in this sense?
No.
You're sitting in a chair that connected to the desk. Right. Why is there a, no, this is a,
Moth.
oh,
Moth.
okay. Well, the law says there was a case that decided many years ago. So what happened was there's African American people was holding a tray, food tray in the cafeteria. Okay? And of course, the other white people don't like him, so they walked up and then just knocked the food tray off that person's hand. Was it direct contact? No. Okay? The body never touched each other. But the court says a tray is an extension to that person's body, and therefore there was a contact. And that case was certainly offensive. Okay? Certainly offensive. that human body. In this case, I will believe Barry has the right to sue me for battery because the desk while you were sitting in, okay, is an extension of your body. And Doc, let's go back to your example. Okay, you are sitting in a car, okay, parked car, and I know you have a truck, okay, and then I walk by and I say, "Damn, you did such a bad job in the last tweet." I kicked the tire. We just read that amount of force. Okay, it's 57 Newton. I measured it, 57 Newton.
Just a touch.
That's a touch. Okay. Battery?
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think? Big ass, I'm gonna show you. Big ass truck, and he's sitting inside, and I'm at the driver's side, and slightly 57 Newton of force. That's very light. Okay, it's about 5 kilo. Okay, kicked the tire. Not even the bumper, just the tire. Okay, and probably hurts more than the car does. Can he sue me for battery? You probably not even felt. You probably didn't even feel the impact.
I said yes, I can see you.
Okay, all right.
Contact is the key word.
Okay. All right. Okay. So what do you think? What the rest of you? Do you think Doc can sue me for battery?
It does fall under offensive, it doesn't fall under harmful, so yeah.
That's offensive. And you said the car is connected to him, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not harmful, but it is offensive, so
Okay.
it should fall underneath it.
What about here, just right now? Do you feel the vibration? Hey, connected.
I see you looking at me.
Right. So
And
do
you're
you feel the
stomping your
vibration?
foot and you're trying to embarrass me.
Or the hub? Do you feel the that's the difference. That's right. But you know, the hub, do you feel the vibration? If you do, are we connected?
We connected? No, we're
No,
not.
the
No.
distance, okay?
No,
The
we're not.
contact.
No,
okay,
we're
what's
not.
your contact? If I hop, okay, the vibration goes your way, and what's your contact? Offensive, yeah. And again, my intent was to humiliate you. I should have probably said that in front of camera, but there. But what's your contact?
No,
Right, no.
it's not an extension of my body.
Okay. But, you know, your feet is connected to the ground.
No, it's
right?
not
It's
an
over here.
extension.
Okay. So where do we draw the
Is he
line?
arguing?
Overruled, by the way. Nobody argue with me in this class. Okay. Two, where do we draw the line? We don't know. Okay. Has there any cases being decided or brought to the Crown Court of Appeal or the Supreme Court to decide whether I'm kicking the tire against the battery? There's no such case, so we don't know. Okay. If I smoke and I blow, okay, some smoke into your face, is it battery? No. Okay. So your smoke particles physically hit someone else's face. Is it offensive? I guess so. But what's your contact? We don't know because there's never a case being decided. Okay? Yeah.
Wouldn't the saliva be part of you?
Yes, saliva is better.
But if some saliva comes out
Yeah.
with the smoke and it hits you, then it would count.
Yes, believe it or not, that was the case on saliva. And yes, it was better. Yeah. Right. But first of all, you have to have the intent. But see, if I spit on you, that'll be a different than.
Oh, no, I mean, if you're
Accidentally.
smoking and when you breathe out the smoke, some saliva comes out and hits you.
Well, but do you have the intent? Do you have the intent to harmfully or offensive contact the other person using your body fluid?
If you did mean to blow it in their face, so when that happens, then
In your example, I think it's better to say, well, if somebody spits on someone else. Okay? And that's battery? Yes, I believe it is battery. Okay? Any questions about harmful or offensive contact of somebody else's person? And just remember, if I like you, Doc, I give you a big hug, okay? Because I like you, and I break some of crack some of your ribs, it's not battery, because I never intend to hurt you, I never intend to offend you, okay? It's not battery. Any questions? Yeah.
Okay, say for example, if you did hug that person and you did break their ribs or whatever, and that person did decide to come for you, couldn't you just say, oh, my intention was never to hurt the guy? And like, does that ever happen, or?
Oh yeah, but
Like you could just lie, right? Like, oh, my intention was never.
well, for academic purposes, okay, people only lie when I say they lie, okay. And two, if that's the case, I hug Doc really, really hard, okay, because I like him as a friend. Okay, so when he sues me, he don't sue me on the battery, because he knows he cannot prove intent. Okay, one of the elements gone, you cannot prove the entire theory, but he will sue me for negligence. Okay? You don't hug the people that hard, so you can sue me for negligence, which is intent is really irrelevant. We don't care about intent. Question? Good? Okay. All right. So, assault is an act by the defendant that creates a reasonable apprehension of an immediate harmful or offensive contact of plaintiff's person. Okay, so plaintiff has to have that apprehension. Okay, and of course, the plaintiff has to have the intent and then causation. All right. So, have to point out that battery does not require a apprehension. Okay, Bobby, David, Bobby. Let's say Bobby wants to get an A in the class in the previous exam. Okay, he wants to get an A. Okay, and he knows unlikely he's going to. So he doesn't like me. He doesn't want to cut me. Let's get rid of that.
The day flying out, you don't post this.
But so let's come back to my example. So Bobby didn't like me. All right? You're gonna hear a lot of violence in this class. Let me show you by getting rid of this damn thing here.
It's annoying.
He just wants to help you teach.
He has no intent, and he cannot sue me.
But he's teaching us about assault and battery.
Oh. But it's not a mod. Okay. But back to class. Bobby doesn't like me. I said it like 4 or 5 times. So we know he didn't like me. There's an intent he didn't like me, okay? So I was walking to my car in the parking lot, okay? So he grabbed his very heavy Business 201 textbook, followed me, okay? All right? And then he hit me from the back and knocked me unconscious. Okay, was there battery?
Yes.
Was there battery?
Yes.
Was it intent?
Yes.
Right? Was there harmful?
Yes.
Contact of my person? Yes. Okay. Now, do I know who hit me? Probably not at the time. Right? I probably when I wake up, It's just me alone lying in the parking lot. Okay? I probably never find out who hit me. But if I know it's Bobby, I can sue you for battery, but is my apprehension, my knowledge of who hits me, or my knowledge of someone is about to hit me, relevant?
Yes.
I give you another chance. Okay. No, so I can sue you for battery, even though when you hit me, I have no idea who hit me. Okay? If I later find out from the surveillance tape that you hit me, then I can sue you for battery. But at the time you hit me, my apprehension of who hit me or what hit me or what about to happen is irrelevant. Okay? And that apprehension is the key element in a cell. You must have that apprehension. Okay? So in here, the actual contact does not need to happen. Okay? So, Bobby followed me to the parking lot. Okay? Trying to knock me out with his textbook. Do you wear glasses?
No.
Let's assume Bobby does. Okay? He forgot to wear his glasses and missed hitting on the back of my head. So what I felt was some wind coming from the back, right? So right after Bobby swung his really heavy business 201 textbook, he doesn't want to hit me again. So he started to walk away. Okay? So he started to walk away. So I felt this wind coming back from my head, and I turned around and saw Bobby walked away. Okay. Now, can I sue him for assault?
Yes,
Yes? Why?
because you had a reasonable apprehension that it was him.
What was my apprehension?
Didn't he say something to you about how he didn't like you earlier, or you saw him walking away when you felt the wind at your back?
Well, that intent was for you to know. Okay, he didn't tell me. That's in his mind. Okay, he formed his intent. I'm just telling you his intent. I have no idea. Okay, so I walked in the parking lot. Okay, I walked in the parking lot, and I felt some wind coming from the back of my head, and I turned around. I saw Bobby walking away. Now, my question is, can I sue him for assault? Where does the wind come from? It's in the book, right? It's in the book. It's in the book. But do I know that?
No.
I have no idea. I have no idea. All I know is there's some wind coming from the back. Okay? So was there a reasonable apprehension of that harmful or offensive contact? Was there? Well, but I didn't know. I didn't know. So there's no apprehension of that harmful or offensive contact that's going to happen to me. Okay? So I cannot sue you for assault. Okay? What if it comes and coming from charging towards me and have a book in his hand and trying to hit me? Okay? And then right before he hit me, he tripped and he fall, he didn't hit me. But can I sue him for assault?
Yes, you had apprehension.
Yes, because I apprehended, reasonable apprehension of he is coming charging towards me with a book, really big, heavy book in his hand and trying to hit me. Okay? So I have that apprehension. So apprehension is the key for the assault. Okay? Any questions for the apprehension? So you have to know that bad thing is about to happen to you. Okay? So, if Bobby comes towards me with the book swing, like, trying to swing your book in, or maybe just hit me in the head with the very heavy book, and then you also actually did hit me, can I sue you for battery?
Yeah.
Can I sue you for the assault? Yes, I can sue you for both, because first of all, there was a contact, and second of all, there was an apprehension before you hit me. So that's assault and battery. I can sue for both, two causes of actions. Okay? Any questions? Yeah.
What makes an assault a deadly weapon?
Oh, that's a criminal case.
Hmm?
Oh, well, let's do that. Okay. So there's a 4-year-old kid. Okay. He has a little brother. And I shouldn't use anybody's relatives. There's a 4-year-old kid. Let's say the kid is named Tom. Okay. Tom was waving a gun in his hand. It looks just like a water gun. Looks just like a plastic cheap ass, water gun. But in fact, it was a real gun. Okay? In fact, it's a real gun. So Tom pointed his gun at you, Barry, and you think the gun is fake. You think the gun is just some water gun or some toy gun. Will not pose any threat to you. Okay? Now, the kid was waving his hand at you, and then he accidentally fires the gun, and there's a bullet. The bullet flies, shoot, missed you. Okay? Now, can you sue him for assault?
I think you have the apprehension.
Well, that becomes the problem, right? Do you have the apprehension? You didn't think it was a real gun. But when do you think you realized, when do you think Barry realized that he's in danger?
When you heard the gunshot?
Probably heard the gunshot, right? So was there an apprehension? Maybe. I don't know, maybe. Do you believe the gunshot is a real gunshot or it's just a firecracker?
There's usually a noise difference.
Right. Well, I have no idea. Because they sound pretty similar to me. Okay? So what if the kid just waving a gun, not firing a gun, just pointing a gun at you and saying, I'm gonna shoot, I'm gonna kill you. 4-year-old kid. Now can you sue him for yourself?
Does it still look fake or?
Oh, still look fake, just like a toy gun. But it's a real gun. You just didn't know. Right? The kid pointing the gun at you, waving the gun, I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna kill you. Now you're a bad guy. You had that barrier I have to kill. Now,
Well, since you don't know that it is real, I don't think you actually can.
okay, so that's why there's no reasonable apprehension that you believe the immediate harm or offensive content will happen to you. Okay? Any questions? Okay, what about, we'll write this out, yes. Melissa is really violent, okay? He uses hammer to break people's nose. She uses hammer to break people's nose, okay? And everybody knows about it, okay? All right, and tonight, Melissa comes into the class, all right? She sits there, take out his hammer, and she turned around and tell Chi, okay? And she turned around and told Chi that, well, I was going to break your nose, but I'm too hungry now. I'll go grab my dinner, and when I come back, I'm gonna break your nose. Okay? And then Melissa turned around and went to get her meal for dinner. And now, can you, Chi, sue her for assault? Yes, yes, anybody? Okay, let me repeat the facts one more time. Hammer says, I'm going to break your nose when I come back from dinner. Okay? That's essentially what it was. Okay? And then turn around and went for dinner, Melissa left, and can you sue her? Can you sue her for assault? Yes? Yes?
No.
Why not?
Because threats of future contact are insufficient, what you wrote.
What's the word here? Immediate. Okay? Okay, it has to be, it's gonna happen right away. It's not like 3 hours later after she get a few drinks and come back to the class. Okay? So this is not an immediate threat. Okay? So that you cannot sue her for the assault. Okay. All right, any questions? Now, what about Kevin? No. Kevin. Hey, I'm pretty good. Okay. Kevin, argument. Okay. Kevin pull out the gun and try to shoot Nicole right there. Okay? Your intent is to shoot her, okay? But you just bad aim, so you missed fire, you missed the shot. The bullet didn't hit Nicole. It didn't hit anybody, okay? But what it did is it flew through in front of Singh about 2 inches. It's like slow motion, right? Singh is like, oh, that's a bullet coming. Okay. Now, can Singh sue you for battery?
Yes. Transfer of intent.
For battery? What's your contact?
No.
No.
Oh, I-
There's no matter. But can she sue you, Kevin, for assault? Yeah. Even though your intent was not to hit her. Okay. Even though your intent is not even to hit, not even to threaten her, but because of the code, you transfer the intent. The same. Questions? This is more fun, right? Better than the Constitution. Okay. So here, where are we? Oh, okay. What about, we don't put in any action. I just verbally abuse Barry. I'm gonna do this to you. I swear to God, I'm gonna do this to you. All right. I'm gonna break your leg. Next time I see you, I'm gonna break your leg. Sue me for assault. Can you sue me for assault?
Well, you said next time, so that implies less.
Well, I'm gonna break your leg now. Like you do as I said. If not, I'm gonna break your leg.
Yeah, because it implies immediate harmful or offensive contact.
Okay. Anybody? At least you can pick a side. Okay, raise your hand if you think Barry can sue me for assault. Okay. Raise your hand if you think he cannot sue me for the assault. Volunteer why?
Because you're not acting it out, you're just saying it.
Okay. The rule is words alone is never enough. Words alone. Okay? So that means the apprehension that you have is not reasonable. Okay? If accompanied by my abusing word, I make a attempt charge against you, then you can say, well, no, now I'm really afraid. It's a reasonable apprehension that harm will come your way. But words alone is not enough.
So if you're walking towards someone while saying that, that might be,
Yeah, possibly. Possibly. Okay. Any questions? It's 8:45. Let's take a 10-minute break.
you need to go motive versus intent.
Okay, now, first of all, does battery require damages or injuries? Tom? Battery? Everything's cool? Hey, he's not, that's such a nice guy. But theoretically speaking, well, what I'm trying to do is to offend you, and I touched you with the intent to humiliate you. Can you sue me for battery? Can you? Oh, such a nice guy. Okay. No, the answer is yes, you can sue me for battery. But do you suffer any physical injury? No. But that's irrelevant.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's irrelevant. You can sue me, you can still sue me for battery, even without a physical injury.
There's a confusion, honestly, see, here, they call what? Assault, you didn't touch the assault. All right.
Well, if it touched, then it will become a battery.
Become a battery.
Mhm.
But intended,
Mhm.
chasing, person, the law is they belong in the box law and the law, the family law. I was confused about it.
Well, no, don't be, no, it's really easy to proceed here. Okay, intent is this is what's in my head
Yes.
as a defendant. But I want to either hurt you or to offend you,
Offense.
and I touch you. Okay?
Yes.
I can touch you really hard with a fist,
Yes.
or I can just slap you in the
Slap you
face,
in the face.
or I can just finally touch you in the shoulder. Okay? You see those two gentlemen fights, right? Finger fights.
Yeah,
Alright, finger fights. Okay?
Who's the fight?
Alright, finger fights. Okay, now, remember, battery does not require physical injury. Okay? So I poked you, I slightly touched you, yes, you can sue me for battery. It's just a matter of how much you can recover. You can sue me, but you probably won't recover a lot. Other than bring up a hammer, or Melissa bring up a hammer, yes.
Can't they suffer criminal punishment too for that, even if there's no injury?
Yes, this will be assault with a deadly weapon.
Oh no, I meant just like a tap on the shoulder.
No, well, for battery to rise up to a criminal level, you're talking about battery with a deadly weapon.
So tapping someone on the shoulder wouldn't. Okay.
No. But if Melissa finally brings up this hammer, so they break your nose, yes, there will be a battery with a deadly weapon. Okay? Right, now, assault, of course, assault, there's no even touching, so there might not be, okay, there might not be a physical injury. Okay? But could there be physical injury? Something for you to think about. Okay. So, Melissa was waving hammer in Chi's face. Chi, right? Okay. And she had a heart attack. Well, that's assault, right? And then definitely there's an injury to that. Okay, any questions for assault and battery? So when I was taking the bar exam, I took it with a few of my buddies. One of them is now practicing in San Francisco. His name is Kerry Schneider. So he wears a T-shirt. It says, and then, actually that's only a shirt, assault and battery. Yeah.
Okay, assault and battery.
And battery, yeah. Okay. Now, the next tort that we're going to talk about is false imprisonment.
Imprisonment. All
The element. Okay. Well, we're going to say, well, there's an intent. And two, there will be act or omission to act. Okay. First of all, there's going to be an intent. Okay? And then there will be an act or the omission to act that confines or restrains the plaintiff to a bounded area. Anybody here works for Costco or ever worked for a grocery store or a, no? Okay, good. Because I asked the wrong question, I asked the wrong person on Tuesday night because he has the answer. All right, let me give you a hypothetical. Okay. Doc, do you shop at Costco?
What's that?
Do you shop at Costco?
No.
Okay, so where do you shop? Grocery shopping?
Safeway.
Safeway, okay, Safeway it is. Okay. So, you know those security companies, right? Security companies, what they do is they post some of their employees as a regular shopper. Okay? So they just push a cart and walk around in the grocery stores. Okay? If they think you are suspicious, okay? So by the time you leave the grocery shop, they will tattoo you, basically tell you to stop and to see if you pay for your goods. Okay? That's what really happened. Okay? So what the real bad guys do is they hire someone to do this for them. Right? Give you $15. Okay, go get this for me. But that's not my point. My point is, okay, Doc pushing his like, shopping cart in Safeway for 45 minutes. Okay, mainly because he's so lost in this class. Okay, he was so confused, so he couldn't know what to buy for dinner. Okay, so he pushed his car in Safeway for 45 minutes and it raised a red flag. The security thinks that he's just walking around, randomly picking stuff and putting in the car. He's probably not going to pay for all these goods. Okay? So at the time, Doc was leaving Safeway. Okay? 4 security guards jumped out from nowhere saying, "You, mister, stay right here. We have to investigate it, whether you paid your goods yet." Okay? And they don't do it out there by the entrance. What they'll do is they'll take you to the back room. Okay? And then try to find out what the hell is going on here. My question is, can you now sue Safeway for false imprisonment?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes? Yes?
Yes, sir.
No? I'm not gonna ask you any questions anymore. Yes? Yes, yes, yes. So first of all, was there intent for this? Was there intent to confine Doc in a bonded area?
Yeah.
I think so, right?
Fine.
I think so, right? Now, if they take him to a back room, they said a bounded area.
Yes.
Yeah.
The word is false. That's the key word.
No,
False.
well, no. The false imprisonment is just one technicality, just one terminology. No, that's not it. But let's go through this element by element. Okay. Now, is back room a bounded area?
Yeah.
Maybe. Maybe if they lock the door, it's definitely bounded area. If they don't lock the door, but there's a security sitting right there not allowing you to leave, it's a bounded area, right? Okay? Now, was there false imprisonment? Theoretically, yes, but in real life, okay, the law says, well, we're gonna pose an exception to this, okay? We'll give the grocery stores the authority to examine shoppers, okay? That's shopkeepers' exception to this, okay? They are allowed by law to confine you and restrain you and to do a brief investigation, a reasonable investigation, okay? Now, yes. Yes.
Is that the same when TSA randomly
Well,
takes you to?
yes, that's even bigger. That's for national security. It's an even bigger head. Yes, they can do that. Yeah.
I remember taking the test with the guard card, and if you actually move someone at all, it's technically kidnapping. If it's false imprisonment and they move you at all, it's technically kidnapping as well.
Well, let's not go there for now, okay? But remember all I told you, the exception must be reasonable, okay? So if they said, "Dog, come back, come here to the back room," and then they locked the door, they didn't come back to you to question you for 4 hours. False imprisonment? Yeah, for sure,
Yes.
for sure. Okay. Now, let's put this shopkeeper's exception aside, okay? What is your favorite restaurant? You have to think. Okay, what is your?
Okay, let's say McDonald's.
Okay,
I love McDonald's.
All right, something else? Can you give me a real restaurant?
Half Moon Bay.
In Half Moon Bay, the name of the restaurant
That's
is?
the name of the restaurant, seafood. They call it Half Moon Bay Seafood.
Okay, Half Moon Bay Seafood Restaurant, that's it. Okay. All right, that's assuming there's a restaurant called Half Moon Bay Seafood Restaurant. Okay, Tom, you were dining there, okay? So by the time you were leaving the restaurant, the security steps up and say, sir, you didn't pay for your meal. Okay? So what I do is, say, sir, please come here. Okay, just behind the cash register, there's an area for you. Okay? Now, false imprisonment.
Yes.
What do you think? Carolyn? No? Why though? Why? When you say yes or no, I need to know why. And when you say you don't know, I also want to know why. Why don't you know? I'm giving you all the elements, okay? I'm giving you a hypothetical that Tom's walking out from the restaurant after his fancy meal, okay, worth about $250. All right, and they're saying, well, mister, please come here. We think you didn't pay for your meals. Okay, by doing so, have they committed false imprisonment?
So he didn't pay for it, or did he?
We don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know. What about Tom did pay for it, but there was a mistake?
I don't know. She could me. I don't know.
What?
And I showed them the receipt. And
Oh, yeah. We're not gonna go that far yet. It's just, they are trying to investigate whether you paid or not. Okay? What if you paid cash and they forgot to give you the receipt? Or somehow it was not entered into the machine, into the computer? Okay? Was their intent to keep you there, to confine you, to restrict your freedom from reading?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes? Okay. Now, was your act, those intent, was your act to put you there? Yes, they asked you to step over it. Okay? Now, what else are we missing? What else do we need? From the elements, what else do we need to
Cause,
prove?
condition.
No, right here.
Bounded area.
Pound it there.
Okay? Was it a bounded area?
If there's a way to get out, you're not blocked from getting out, then no.
Everything?
Is there a way to get out, or is there gonna be a guy who stands in front of you?
That's assuming there isn't.
Then it's not bounded.
Okay? So if there's not a big guy stopping Tom from leaving, okay, and if you are the restaurant now being sued by Tom for false imprisonment, what is your best defense?
He wasn't bounded or kept there.
Okay? Then why did you stay?
Then why what?
Why did you stay then?
His own choice.
That's right. Okay, that would be a best defense. Okay, if Tom's coming back and sue you for forced imprisonment, then your best defense is he consented to it. He voluntarily stayed, trying to clear his name. All right, that's your best defense. But what if there is a guy right there, or there's a, looks like a cop sitting right there, and he's a freedom cop? He does not reasonably believe that he can leave. He can't leave. Then this will cause a problem for false imprisonment. Okay? So this becomes his subjective belief. If he believes he can reasonably escape, then there's no false imprisonment. Okay? If he believes he cannot escape, then there will be false imprisonment. Okay? Any questions? So this happened to me in real life. So I had a little company who proctors LSAT, that's law school admission test, okay? So the venue I use is a law school, okay? I lease their premises to conduct a test for 100+ students. And a buddy of mine came to me and said, well, he needs to do some legal research. He knew I have access to law school, and he asked me if he can come and use the computers at law school, because we have special programs. Okay? And I said, yeah, fine, come. I let the school know, yeah, fine, let's come. Just let him come. Okay? So what happened is The test starts at 7 o'clock. At 7 o'clock, no, we need to be there at 7 o'clock a.m., 7 a.m. And the test runs about 1:30 p.m., okay? And I completely forgot about him. And then we just packed our things and leave, and left, and then set the alarm, okay? So at about 3 o'clock, I got a phone call from this guy saying, where are you? I'm about to leave. Where's everybody else? Where's everybody? I'm the only one here. And then I'm afraid to push the door open because it will set off the alarm. Okay? Then I was like, oh, oops. So I called the school and nobody answers because it's a Saturday. Okay? False imprisonment?
There was no intent.
Yeah. What about two? Assuming I knew, my intent was to keep him there for fun. Right? Well, it was just the prank that, you know, hey, let's go, let's keep the guy inside. Change the fact a little bit. Was there false imprisonment? Really? I can't even put a prank on my friend? Okay. So was it act or omission to act? Yeah, I think so, right?
Omission.
Okay. Was it a bounded area?
Yes.
Well, I would argue that it is not a bounded area.
He could have left until.
It could have left, and then just, SFPD was in a compensating truck.
You would have been in danger of getting arrested by the SFPD, so I would have.
Everybody left already. I'm assuming if when he leaves the building, triggered the alarm, he'll probably just take off. He wouldn't wait for the cop to get there. I don't know, maybe. No idea. Okay, now, any questions about false imprisonment? Let me try to do this. What if, let's go back to my question, my friend, right? I want to confine my friend, okay? So what we did is, we confined him in the library. We turned off all the lights. Then he got scared, okay? But what he did is, he pushed the door wide open. And he's 350 pounds. Okay? So the moment the light was off, like literally 1 second later, he pushed the door and three of us who couldn't hold the door, he's too big. So he got out. Now can he sue us for false imprisonment? We're trying to bar the door, keep him inside, and then just a second later he broke it out. He broke out from the library. Was there false imprisonment?
Yes.
There was intent.
It was intent.
And you
Bounded
acted
area.
intent.
Bounded area. Confined?
Confined.
Yes. Right.
Confined.
But it was only for 1 second. It was only for
It
1
still
second.
happened, though.
That's right. All right. The time of the confinement is immaterial. Okay? We don't care how long it was. All right. What about using the same example? All right. But this time it's not my friend, it's Barry. Okay, in the library. But what we did is we decided to keep Barry overnight in the library. Okay, so we barred the door, shut the lights, and do everything we can to make sure he couldn't get up. But unbeknownst to us, all right, Barry fell asleep in front of the computer even before we turned off the lights. Right? He sat there, he passed out, 2 minutes to drink. Okay? He had too much to drink, he passed out, he blacked out on the chair. Okay? And he didn't wake up until the next day after the school reopened, after the library was open, after students started showing up, and then he started to realize, he started to sober up. Okay? Was there false imprisonment? So So we wake up, the door is open, the student's here, right? Both in prison?
Only if he knew about it. If someone told it to him afterwards, I think he could.
Okay, all right. Any other guess? Yes?
Well, there was intent, and the act did happen. So I believe that in reality, it was false imprisonment.
Well, there's a split in jurisdictions. Most of the court will say the awareness of the imprisonment is required.
Can you do the part?
You have to know that you're being confined, okay? Yeah, there's a minority court says it's irrelevant. Okay, but California, they actually do require the awareness. So if you passed out, blacked out during the entire time of both imprisonment, you have no idea you're being confined, then you cannot sue. Even though you realize afterwards, oh shit, really? No, we probably can't sue. Okay?
Did you say half of the states?
More than half the states.
More than
Majority requires awareness. Most of the court, it's not just majority. I think it's about more than 40 states requires that. Okay? And of course, it does not require the real damage. Okay? Within 1 second, my friend was confined in the library before he could push the door open. He can suffer no damage, but can still sue for false imprisonment. Okay? Any questions? Okay. Let's move on. To intentional infliction of emotional distress. Okay. These are the elements. For intentional infliction of emotional distress, short IIED. Okay? This is one of the most difficult to prove in court. And then there's it has a sister, it's called negligent infliction of emotional distress. And then it's called NIED. That's even harder to prove. Okay, so the element for IIED is that there must be an intent to cause a severe emotional distress or a reckless as to the effect of the defendant's conduct. And the second element will be there must be an extreme and outrageous conduct that caused the damage. So the definition in law for extreme and outrageous conduct is Okay? The definition for that is transcends all bounds of decency, human decency tolerated by society. Every example of extreme business conduct, misuse of the authority, and sometimes the offensive and insulting language will be counted as extreme and outrageous conduct. Now, when you're done taking your notes, if we look at the intent part, now it has two parts. And one, there's an intent to cause severe emotional distress, or it's so reckless as to the effect of someone's conduct. Does it require a specific intent in this case? It doesn't really require that intent. As long as you know what you did will have a huge, really bad effect. Okay? And then we can satisfy that intent requirement for IID. Okay? Another similar example to this, if you just think about intent, is second-degree murder. Second-degree murder usually requires an intent for you to kill someone. Okay? All right? So second-degree murder requires for you to have an intent to kill someone. Now, if you plan out this murder, okay, you have premeditation, and you have, what's the other word? So you have those two elements, then it becomes first-degree murder. Okay? If you plan out, if you think about it, you plan out, you prepare as first-degree murder. But if you don't have that, you have second-degree murder. You gotta have intent to kill someone. Okay. All right. So, very German car. What kind of car do you drive?
Mustang?
Mustang. That's right. Okay. Do you smoke?
No.
Let's assume you do. Let's assume you don't smoke cigar, but you don't smoke cigarettes, but you smoke cigar. Okay. So school zone, the speed limit for school zone is 25 miles per hour. 25 miles per hour, school zones, right? So Barry was driving his very cool Mustang muscle car, having one hand holding his cigar, lighted cigar, driving at a pretty fast speed, 65 miles an hour, near a school zone, okay? So when you are, Barry, when you are just about to cross the intersection outside of the school, okay, there's a tiny bump. And because you drive so fast, you dropped the cigar between your thighs and eventually fell onto the car mat, okay? So what he did right now, he did not pull over the car. He did not slow down. What he did is he kept the same speed and then bent over, took his eye off the road and tried to pick up the cigar to prevent burning a hole in your car mat. Okay? Good? The car was still traveling at 65 miles per hour. And of course, he ran right over that intersection and killed a 8-year-old girl. Okay. Now, do you have a specific intent to kill that girl?
No.
No. But your conduct was so reckless, okay? Because you knew it's a school zone and you were speeding, and you take the eye off the road to pick up a cigar, okay? And they will probably charge you for second-degree murder of the girl, okay? Your very specific intent of killing that girl is not required, okay? The very similar example to IID. So you don't have to intend to cause that severe emotional distress. Okay?
I have a question. There are old man, 67 years old. Last Friday night, he killed me. He walked across to the street, the company was working this evening, 28 years old. And he walked across, in Skyline, Hickey.
Okay.
He came across, and the old man say he did not see the guy's walk. But he overrunning, he speed over than the speed of the motor. And he hit 28, 6 feet high, 240 pounds one time. And he died, and he get it out, and moved the guys in the car, the police, and called the ambulance, they come. So, what they got, what's that? Go ahead.
Oh, and first of
Emotional
all,
distress? Or?
well, no, first of all, no, first of all, it's unfortunate. So let me repeat the story to see if I got it right. Okay, so Hickey Boulevard, Skyline Boulevard, and Hickey Boulevard.
Yes.
And there's a pedestrian.
Yes.
Pedestrian was hit by a driver.
Yes.
Okay, driver is a little bit over the speed limit,
Yes.
and because it was at night, the driver says he didn't see
Yeah, and the driver say he did not see
the pedestrian.
Walk, the pedestrian walk.
Okay, was the pedestrian on the crosswalk?
He walked in the cross.
No, across the street,
Yes.
but was he on the crosswalk?
No,
If he's not on crosswalk, then who broke the law first? So we're gonna apportion the liability right now. Okay, the pedestrian is at fault. Okay, now by what percentage? We don't know. We don't see what's the lighting. Was it at night? What was the weather like? Was there sufficient sign? Was there no crosswalk because you cannot tell, or there's a clear indication says pedestrian go over there? Because you can sue the city as well. Okay, but was there a emotional distress? I don't think so because the guy's dead.
yes.
The pedestrian is dead. It's really hard to argue a dead person is emotionally distressed because he died. Okay? Now, if the driver causes emotional distress, the driver cannot sue a dead people for emotional distress. And your example is not related to this cause of action. Okay? Yes, Barry.
Doesn't, like a bank robber who accidentally shoots someone he thinks is trying to make a move, doesn't that kind of count as reckless as to the effects of their conduct, or?
I think
Because I know that usually falls under second degree.
Okay, it is, okay, no, it's liable for second degree murder for a different reason.
Huh.
Okay, so let's go back to you, since you brought it up, okay? And Barry is a robber, okay? He likes to rob this tiny little coffee shops. Now this time he targeted the coffee shop at Skyline College, okay? And Melissa, of course, drives his getaway car. You know how to drive the stick? Automatic?
It's automatic. so
Automatic.
it
Anybody
doesn't
can drive
work.
automatic. Okay, so Melissa nicely drive Barry's automatic Mustang as a getaway vehicle. Okay? So you go inside World Cup Cafe, right? World Cup, okay. That's our cafeteria right down there. Okay? You put up a gun saying, give me what you have. Give me your dough. Like give me your dough and show them. They actually, and then just unlucky to you didn't know there's an undercover police there. Okay? Poses a student because there's so many robberies outside. Okay, in campus and just people just love to rob the coffee shops. Okay, there's an undercover cop. So this becomes a gunfight. Bullets everywhere. Okay? And Kevin, the nice gentleman, was here. He was the manager for the bookstore, and bookstore oversees the operation of the cafeteria, right? Okay. So Kevin was there trying to make coffee, and then one bullet strike at the side of his head, and he died instantly. Do not tell him that, okay? Okay, so Kevin died, and the autopsy realized that it was not your bullets who killed him, it was the cops. Okay? The bullet coming from the cop's gun, pistol, struck Kevin and killed him. Now who's liable for the death of Kevin? The cop or you? Or you? You're the, you drive the, not everyone. The cop is not liable for the death of Kevin. It's you and you.
I knew she was liable, but.
She's liable for sure, yeah. We know that she's liable. Anything that goes bad. But the reason that you are liable is because someone died in the course of felony. Okay? So you as the felon are responsible for every single person that died in the course of, or in furtherance of the felony. Okay? So you are responsible for the death of the cop, you're responsible for the death of Calvin, you are responsible for the death of your accomplice. Melissa, in this case, or co-conspirator, we don't know. Okay? Everything happens, anybody dies, it's your fault. It goes away 15 to 5. Second degree murder. Now, you, because you are either his co-conspirator or you are the aiding and abettor. Okay, so if he would determine that he killed someone or is liable for someone else's death, and you at the same time, you'll be liable at the same degree. Second degree murder, and you say, oh, I just want some free coffee and drive in a car. No? Too bad. Okay. And again, that's irrelevant to IAED, and you have more questions. Yes?
What if she felt sketchy that and before you even robbed her, she just drove off? Would she still be liable for
Well,
conspiracy?
if she is a co-conspirator, yes, he still is. Because the law says you withdrawing from a crime is not enough. Okay? You have to attempt to stop the crime. So if she lives and called the cops saying, well, there's a possible robbery here right now, to work up, and then she can walk free. Okay? Simply leaving is not enough.
Does she still get the equal blame as the person that actually did it, or does she
Okay,
get a little
very
less
yes.
for? Okay.
Yeah, maybe he's the mastermind behind all this. Any questions? This is not a criminal case, back in the class. Okay. All right. Sometimes offensive words and insulting language itself is good enough. Okay? If there's a special relationship between plaintiff or defendant, okay, then just the language itself can raise up to a level of emotional distress. Okay? And the law says we're gonna set standards for special relationship. One common carrier. Okay? A bus driver or a school bus driver or you drive a ferry, he owns a higher responsibility for your passengers. Okay? Than anybody else out on the street. Okay? Well, I don't know if you know there was a case that was not too long ago. There was a hurricane camp, and one of this resident or one of this guests, a female guest, tried to run away from the hotel because she didn't think the hotel was safe enough. So he ran out there, and she ran out there, and she got killed. Her family came back and sued the restaurant, saying, "Well, you are innkeepers. You are having a higher responsibility to keep your guests safe. Okay? The reason you didn't let her out, or the reason you let her out and not keeping her inside of the hotel, we're gonna sue you." Okay? And they lost. Yeah.
What if it's the innkeeper's lunch break? Is he still liable, or and it has a sign that clearly says it's their lunch break, and no one's at the counter to check?
Actually,
if they
just
come
more
in.
than you run out.
I don't know. There's never a case decided that way, so I don't know. Okay? We're gonna wait until Starry decides this, until one case has been decided that sets the precedence for the later cases. Okay? All right? Now, if I know, Karen, are you afraid of bugs or what are you afraid of? Okay. Okay, assuming Kevin is afraid of caterpillar, okay, or just bugs. Okay? So as a prank, so what I did is we're gonna throw a lot of bugs inside this backpack. Okay? And when he gets home and open it up, he'll be screaming like a girl. Okay? Now if we knew he's ultra sensitive to bugs, and we still do this, okay, that can raise to a level of emotional distress. And that knowledge will become either an intent to cause severe emotional distress or a reckless as the effect of our conduct. Okay? Especially when we know that you are going to the hospital a couple times, they have a mental breakdown because of bugs, and we're still doing this. Okay? And this will raise to an intentional infliction of emotional distress. But again, it's really hard to prove. In real life, this is really, really difficult to prove. All right? Now, the difference between IIED and NIED, that's the negligent infliction of emotional distress, is one damage right here is different than the NIED that's required. NIED required a real physical damage. And right here, IIED doesn't require, it only needs some sort of damage, but doesn't need a physical damage. Now, in real life, what do you think you can prove the damage? Kevin is like, bugs. Okay, how do you prove the damage? You just let it go, forget it? I don't want to say.
I don't know, like documented or something? Documented or something?
Documented, like how?
Therapy session.
Like she
Take it to the doctor.
Take it to the doctor, okay? You take it to a psychiatrist or psychologist. Okay? They will say, well, you're suffering, taking all these pills, or you will have a mental breakdown, you couldn't sleep at night due to this accident, or due to your fear of 6 legs creatures. Okay? Any question? All right. Trespass to land. Trespass. Trespass to land. Okay, first of all, there must be an intent. Intent to do what? Intent to physically invade on someone else's real property. Okay? So, this is what happened to me. Perfect for this class. Last week, and I live in Daly City. You know in Daly City, there are street cleanings, right? Street cleanings. So if there's a street cleaning, and one side of the street, that I believe that's Tuesday morning between 7 to 9 a.m., which means on Monday nights, everybody fights for a parking spot. Okay? Right, you guys, if you're from Daly City or San Francisco, you understand. Okay. So my neighbor, they bought a house, but they don't live there. It was a rental property. I believe there are about 11 people living in the house, 8 cars. So, well, I didn't like that. I called the cops a few times. I shouldn't say that on camera. But what happened was they got so many cars, and I don't care, right? Because street cleaning is a problem with driveway. I have a long driveway. And they also have a long driveway. So what they did is they put 3 cars on the driveway. And then they use another car to block the driveway and try to park all the other cars. Okay? So Tuesday morning, one of the tenants couldn't get out. because the driveway was blocked. Okay? I don't know whether he couldn't find the other tenants or he couldn't wake them up. I have no idea. But what he decided to do is turn on the engine, cut through my lawn, and use my driveway to get out. So I sent a nasty email to the landlord. Okay? I told him this is trespass. Okay, there's the intent. There's tire track, tire mark on my lawn, and when I say lawn, I know there's no grass, but it doesn't mean you can come onto my land. Okay, there's tire track. I have photos right here in my cell phone. Okay, but this is trespass. Okay, that intend to come onto my land, invade my land. Okay, there's a physical invasion as well. Okay. All right. And when we say once real property, it includes the airspace and subsurface. Okay? You go to somebody's mine, it will be something as on surface. And the mistake is no defense. If you think this land, so we have adjacent lands, okay? You have 5 acres of land and I have 10 acres that's adjacent to each other. And I am just walking on my land and I believe that's my land, but in reality I stepped onto your land. That's trespass. Okay? The intent was not to invade your land. My intent was to walk on this piece of land. Okay? My intent was to set foot and move forward. But I believe that's my land, but that belief, that mistake is not defense. Because I physically invaded your land.
Please.
Okay?
Please.
All right. Any questions? Yes.
You mentioned the space above, so that means that if an airplane flies over your
No,
house,
there's a limit. I forget how many feet up. There's a limit.
what if it's a really tall building, does that affect the
If they
height?
fall over.
Go ahead.
If, you know, say it's a really tall building like a skyscraper, does that mean that there's an extra?
It's higher than that.
Oh.
Right. It's usually, I can't remember how many feet. But, so that's why, this is funny, but there was I think in the 70s, FBI, what they did is they sent a aircraft that fly over a residential area, okay? And then they have a heat sensor for the aircraft. So I think it was only 500 feet or how many feet. So what they do is they detect the heat coming out from the house. Okay, if this house has a lot of heat coming out from the house, that means what?
Growing marijuana.
They're growing fast. They're growing fast. Okay? And then there's a big argument about, search warrant. You don't have a search warrant to look into our house. Okay. What was the case about?
So if someone's flying one of the drones
Mm-hmm.
and flies it over your house
Uh-huh.
or over your backyard with
Uh-huh.
a camera, so that's trespassing.
Well, no, there's a limit, but the drones usually fly above that limit. They become federal airspace.
Oh, no, I mean, there's smaller drones now,
Oh, yeah, it's trespass, for sure, yeah.
like, how about underground, like?
Same thing. Underground are pretty much, yeah. But you cannot go underground all the way to the other side of the road. Couldn't dig a hole till 6,000 miles until I came up from the other side of the earth.
So if like a gas company needs to go into your house to connect lines or something, they
Okay.
need your permission?
That's trespass, but when you buy the house, you consent to it. Okay? When you buy the house, that's not a imprisonment, that's a concurrence. Concurrence, that's a term for real estate. So,
Easement.
that's not an easement.
Easement.
That's not easement. Easement is not that. There's easement, imprisonment, the one of which, I need to look it up, David. Too many terminologies. But when you buy the house, you consent to it. And when those PG&E lines, okay, going across above going through your backyard, yeah, you consent to it. When you buy the land, can't do it. It's not easement. Easement is when you try to use other people's land.
Yes.
It goes an easement. Okay? So my house has no way for me to get to the road to go out. basically just deadlocked for a piece of land. So what I can do is I can petition to the court and ask for a little tiny road to go out, and there will be easement. That's not your land, but easement is a right for you to use other people's land. Okay? Okay, and then we'll have trespass to land, and then we'll have trespass to chattel. Okay, it requires a couple of things. It requires an intent. The intent to interfere with plaintiff's right of possession, right? There must be an act that actually interferes with the right of possession, and then that caused the damage. Okay? 5. Bobby, can I borrow your computer?
Yeah.
Oh, what if I just don't borrow it? I just take it. Let's take it. All right. Now, do I have the intent to interfere of your right of possession with the computer? I'll take it. Well, you don't know what my intent is, but my intent was I'll take it, I'll play with it. You know, the air, 11 inches.
It's air.
11?
Yeah.
Okay. I have a 13-inch air. I never had an 11-inch air, so I'm gonna take it for a week, try it out, without telling you, just take it. Okay. Now, do I have the intent to interfere with your right of possession? Yeah. Okay. Now, if I actually did take it, then it will be act by me that caused your damage. Do you have the damage?
Break it.
Only if I break it.
There's damage.
Hmm?
There's damage.
There's damage. What kind of damage?
He wasn't able to use the computer.
Right, that's right. He wasn't able to be able to use it. And as you know, electronics has a life cycle. That means you're missing a week. Okay, if you can supposed to be used in 5 years, then you're missing 1 week out of 5 years.
There can also be emotional damage, like he can really be attached to it, or he could use it for his business, and so it'd take away from his profits.
Okay, then first of all, you are saying you are suing for 2 things. Additional to trespass, you're gonna sue me for emotional distress, and he can also sue me for, what's the other one? A loss of income.
Yeah.
Loss of future income. Okay. Well, I'll tell you the problem is. You want to prove emotional distress. I showed the elements before. It's really hard to prove. Okay? Unless you have to prove that you're really emotionally attached to the laptop. That is hypersensitive to the possession, or anybody touches your computer. Even with that, I don't think you can win a lawsuit for emotional distress. 2, loss of income revolves with certainty. Okay? How do you certain he will lose this much money or income when I take away his laptop for a week? How do you prove it? Why can't he use a different computer?
What if that's the only computer that has his information for his business on there?
Okay? Such as? I mean, a lot of times that's
Certain
what happens.
program for making money, like, I don't know, say he does a tax business and that's the only computer he has that has QuickBooks,
Well, I think QuickBooks, you can have it installed on another computer.
but it costs money.
Well, then you can sue me for that cost. That's not loss of income. Right? Loss of income, again, is hard to prove. Okay? There's a degree of certainty they have to prove. Okay, so Now, remember, the key thing is here is interference. Okay? Interference. Now, if interference enough, okay, or too much interference, okay, if this is too serious that he basically lost the use of the good, and that becomes conversion. So conversion is another type of torts. Okay? So if, Bobby, if I take your computer, if I give you back in a week, no scratch, tiny scratch maybe, okay? You can sue me for trespass for shadow. But if I take it and I broke it, I give it back the next day, but you already lost the full value or the future use of this computer, then you're going to sue me not for the trespass, but for the conversion. So I essentially converted your computer to be mine, and you lost the value. Okay? So right here, so if you sue me for trespass for shadow, so what you get is your loss of use. Okay? We're gonna figure out how much I need to pay you. 1 week out of 5 years, your loss of use, or fair market value, we'll just calculate it down to that week. But if you sue me for conversion, and if you win the case, then I have to pay you the full value of the computer. Okay? So Barry, what year is your Mustang?
2005,
Mileage?
24,000.
24,000. Okay. So if I borrow Barry's car with your permission to go to Safeway, to meet up with Doc, get a cup of coffee, and come back, right? But instead of doing that, I drove your car across the country to New York and come back in 2 weeks, in 4 weeks. All right. I put in about 15,000 miles on the car. Okay? Now that will probably become a conversion because the car value got diminished so much that essentially it's too serious, the interference is too much. That becomes a conversion. Then I need to pay you the full value of the car.
Do you get to keep the car, or the person?
I didn't pay the car, yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah, you have a choice. You have a choice to get the car back and for ask me to pay the difference. Or I can keep the car and pay you the whole thing. Okay? But instead of me going to put in about 1,500 miles, that will probably be trespass to chattels. Because it's not serious enough. Okay? But if I burn your engine on the way back, that's a different story. Okay. Any questions? Let's take a 10-minute break.